But I'm really into philosophy that much, so it just my degree of dedication to it. Um, but the thing is that a lot of times, I'm willing to change things. That's the one thing I consider myself open-minded in the sense that I'm willing to change. Now, I may believe something that turns out not to be true. When you think about it, many things that we believe today probably aren't true. But there's like a procedure to changing, at least that I have. I'll change something if someone presents me some facts that I didn't know before. Let's say if I believe that the core of the earth was completely solid all the way through. And someone says, no, it's not. The earth's core is actually is molten metal. The core of it might actually be iron. It could be solid, but around that, the earth is more or less floating on a crust of basically hot liquid, so to speak. And that's, you get the plate tectonics thing. But let's say I didn't know all that stuff. I just thought solid earth all the way through. And somebody told me these things. They say, you can look it up. You can look up this. And so I go look it up, and I look up, respectable scientific sites about things and stuff. And I said, wow, I didn't know that. I said, well, I changed my mind. Now I believe what you believe now. I think that that's true. I accept that as true because you presented something to me and I looked it up. I was able to see that it was true. Well, see, that's the way I am with things. No matter what my belief is, I admit that anything I believe could be wrong. It could be wrong. Maybe it could be wrong that the earth is flat. Let's say if I was a person who believed the earth was flat. It could be wrong. The thing is, being open-minded isn't so much holding a wrong or right opinion, but holding an opinion, but also being flexible about it. I'm willing to change if you show me something. I may hold the idea that the earth is flat. Okay, but I'm willing to change if someone can demonstrate to me, even just show me some research has been done. And I look and see, well, yeah, they may show me a lot of research. I say, I changed my mind. Now I think the earth is round. Well, I might think that the earth is at the center of the universe and everything is moving around the earth. And somebody may show me some facts that illustrate that that's not true. And I say, okay, I'm willing. And that's what I think of as open-minded. Open-minded people aren't necessarily people who have reached the right conclusion. But they're people who really, in a sense, kind of know that any conclusion is a word that we use that's actually, it's the word that we use, but it really isn't probably the best possible word. I'm not even going to argue about what other words we could use, but because conclusion means end. We get to an end. No, there's nothing as an end. A conclusion is more or less a temporary thing, but we say that more for pragmatic reason because it works in conversations. You don't have to go through 40 hours of explaining what you mean when you say, if you use any other word other than conclusion. I come to the conclusion that this thing, this inserter, is blue. That's my conclusion. But someone might show me something. They may show me the lighting in here is different and everything. And so when you turn on a different light, it's actually green. Or something like that. I'm willing to change. But I doubt that I'm going to have any information that's going to overturn my ideal about it. My ideal is this pen is red. I don't think I'm going to change my mind, but I'm willing if someone can show me some information that, that then somebody say that's not even a pen. I say, really? And they may show me that it's not a pen. If you can show me that. I mean, I have changed my mind before. I have done that. But you have to show me something. See, it doesn't matter how I arrived at whatever conclusion I got to. If I arrived in it in, quote, the right way or the wrong way. If I believe something because I was taught that all my life, my parents taught me and everybody else taught me. There are things that I've was taught since I was a kid and I just didn't question it. But if there's no opposing information, then I may go with it. It kind of makes me think about something. An example I was given once before, but I'm going to use this example. If you're taught something the wrong way, let's say Okay, this pen is red. This is the color red. And this inserter is blue. Now, if you were going to learn, if I were teaching somebody Spanish, or let's say if I had learned Spanish, I went to school, and someone taught me, now the word for red in Spanish is rojo. That's the correct word. The word for blue in Spanish is azul. Now, suppose I had a teacher who taught me the wrong way. They taught me the complete opposite. They taught me this was azul and this is rojo. And so that's what I was taught. Okay, I believe it. I don't question it. Somebody say, well, what color is this thing? This is rojo. And what color is, I don't know, this thing right here? And I may say azul. And so I believe it. And you know, the ideal gets reinforced with every student he ever had. So if I talk to past students he had and other students, you know, we're going to be reinforcing the incorrect answers. And we accept it, and there's nothing that opposes that until, let's say, if I plan a trip to go to Mexico. Let's say once I get to Mexico City and I look at something, I say, you know, quiero comprar esta cosa azul. And I point to it and I say, este no es azul, es rojo. Este es rojo, no es azul. And I may argue with the person. It could be, although if I'm an open-minded person, I can argue. I'm going to say if that person speaks Spanish and that's the language that they speak here, then I have to take it that that person knows what they're talking about. And that maybe my teacher was wrong. But you know, some people hold their teachers in a holy and sacred world where, oh, my teacher doesn't make mistakes. Maybe your teacher did make a mistake. Well, that can't be wrong because all the other students say the same thing. Yeah, but they're following what your teacher is saying. It's, you know, it's like a factory that's turning out a bad product that has a flaw in it. Basically, you've been reinforced with the wrong ideal about something. And now all of a sudden, you've had this situation of coming in contact with a situation where someone actually does something in an authentic way. And when you run into authentic situations, that's what changes you. That's what kind of hits you as a shock. You know, sometimes we think things are the case. And, you know, in a controlled environment, in a situation where you're in a classroom, or like if you're in a religion, if you're in a church, and you're taught certain things about the world. But then when you get out into the real world, you realize there's this conflict. Now, you have to make this decision. Is the situation, the authentic situation, or at least what I think of as authentic, is that one right, or is my teacher right? Maybe my teacher is more authentic than the rest of the world. Maybe my teacher is right, and this guy, like to say at the market with the Spanish thing, maybe the guy at the market is wrong. Maybe he's trying to trick me. Maybe this really is azul. So, okay, whatever. I go ahead and buy whatever I'm going to get, and then I go somewhere else. But then I noticed consistently all throughout Mexico, they would always refer to this color as rojo, and this is rojo, and this is azul. And then I think, okay, my teacher, now the evidence coming in too much that telling me that my teacher made a mistake. And if you go back to the States, you go back and you tell your teacher, and your teacher gets angry and mad at you and say, well, those people don't know, and this, that, you know, you could go back and say, well, maybe my teacher's right. Maybe there's these people just have a mass conspiracy, but then that don't make any sense. In our minds, we're always evaluating things, but sometimes you run into people who don't. I know I'm kind of just rambling on, and this is one of the advantages of this channel. I can just ramble on. But there are a lot of times when people do things and say things that are inconsistent with what you run into in the real world. What's the difference? What's the difference? Which one is true? Which one isn't true? How do you know? Well, you look at the people who should know. The people who speak the language should know the words for red and blue. You know, my teacher is more likely to have gotten it wrong than it is that these people have conspired to get things wrong. And even if they collectively change the words, then it still makes this true because they have to communicate with each other. You know, if they're only telling me that this is rojo, but they're telling each other it's azul, then it's a different story. But if they say it to each other, then I have to go with the evidence. I have to go with what I'm actually seeing and what's consistent. Okay, sometimes things can be that way. And sometimes you're taught things about religion and God and about your role in the world and how it all fits together. And it doesn't match with the more authentic situations. Although we can argue about which one is authentic. It's up in the air a lot of times. But I think if you use your thinking, you can sort things out. I'm just going to leave it at that because later on I'll talk more about this kind of stuff. So I'm going to stop right here.